Hey everyone. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it means a lot to me. Let's begin. My name is Raf Tomies. Yes, that's my real name, not a stage name, and I design, configure, and monitor security systems for homes and small businesses. I run my own show with 2 full-time employees, a couple of carefully selected engineering students from the local university when we need them, and a subcontracted commercial call center. The call center monitors alarms from protected properties and notifies the owner, a private security firm, the police, or sometimes me, depending on what happened and what the client has specified for such situations. I operate in a higher-end market segment, so pretty much everything we do these days involves cutting-edge equipment with remote monitoring and secure data storage, both locally and in the cloud. If this were some kind of romance story, this is the part where I'd lie to you about having an insanely muscular build, piercing blue eyes, and a mysterious background in special forces. Which means I could kill you blindfolded from 100 meters away with a single kangaroo kick. Yes, I'm Australian, so you'll have to put up with occasional metric references and coarse slang. It happens. I am who I am. Anyway, how I look has nothing to do with this story, so I'll just take the role of a faceless narrator. Sound good? Right. So this all started during one of my routine 6-month system checks at a luxury home owned by Sam and Sasha Fitzgerald. To avoid any awkwardness, I always send the owners a text and an email a week in advance, letting them know that I'll be remotely checking the cameras in their home on a specific day for scheduled maintenance. Even with this heads up, you'd be surprised at the kind of things I see during these inspections. People can be incredibly careless or just plain weird. It's more common than you'd think. So, back to the story. My first step is always to run a system check on the controller. I go through all the maintenance and shutdown logs to make sure everything's running smoothly, and then I verify that all the cameras are operational. You'd be amazed how many people place a houseplant or some kind of decor right in front of the camera, then act confused when I tell them it's blocking the view. You don't have to be broke to be careless, that's for sure. At Sam and Sasha's place, I noticed that the system had undergone a full reset the day before, and the entire history had been wiped. I quickly scanned the remaining local storage. Their system used on-site storage, and everything seemed fine. So I just checked the cameras and made a note to follow up next week, hoping there would be a full week of uninterrupted operation by then. The next Friday, I logged in again, and once more, the system history had been wiped on Thursday afternoon. That was odd, because all the deleted files were actually still intact. If people are trying to hide something, they usually just delete the specific files they don't want seen and leave it at that. Since this was a pretty unusual situation, I opened the files and went through them carefully. The first thing I noticed was that the video from the day before showed a bright sunny day. That struck me as odd, because in reality, it had been overcast with rain for most of the day. I dug deeper and found that for the past 3 Thursdays, they had a rolling 6-week archive. All the footage was exactly the same. Same weather, Sam and Sasha leaving the house at the same time, and a delivery guy showing up with an unusually shaped package also at the exact same time. At this point, I could have contacted Sam, who was our official client, and asked if he knew what was going on. The issue was, if someone had accessed and tampered with their security system, it was my job to find out who and why. So I set their system to begin live backups to my secure remote servers for the next 7 days and added another reminder to check in again the following Friday. What started as a routine check had turned into a whole lot of unexpected work, but we take client security very seriously. On Friday, I logged into their system again and found that there had been yet another data wipe, and Thursday's files had once again been replaced, identical to the previous Thursdays. Very strange. I accessed the original files from my server and rewound to the point where the reset had taken place. We always make sure the security controller is within camera view, and sure enough, I saw Sasha access the system and make changes. Normally, that would be enough for me to back off. If a client wants to alter their settings, that's their right. But in this case, the account was registered to Sam, and according to the paperwork, no one else had permission to modify the system. So I went back to early Thursday morning and watched the real footage of that day. Both Sam and Sasha left for work at their usual time, but Sasha came back around noon. A little while later, a man Sasha referred to as Terry showed up, and let's just say they were very close. They spent about an hour and a half together in various parts of the house. Even when the camera wasn't showing them directly, there were sounds. It was clearly intimate, and I realized this was probably why Sasha had been regularly wiping the footage. I had no idea what kind of shape her marriage with Sam was in, but I doubt most people would be okay with this level of secrecy and invasion of private space. It seemed to me there might be something bigger going on than just an affair. Of course, I had no right to interfere in a client's personal life, but the situation was becoming more complicated and concerning. After they were done, took showers, got dressed, and sat down for coffee, the conversation they had was even more unsettling. "Hey," Terry asked, "have you decided yet what you're going to do about Sam?" Sasha nodded. "I'm going to organize an awards night next week. I'll leave early, saying I'm not feeling well, and my friend will slip a sedative into his drink. After that, he'll wake up in one of the motel rooms, and a woman will be brought there too. Everything will be recorded to create the appearance of inappropriate behavior on his part. That should help with the prenup." "I don't quite get it," Terry replied. "If neither of us breaks the agreement and we get divorced, the assets are split 50-50. But if one of us can prove a breach, the other only gets 20%. With what we own, that's about $600,000 difference. So I need to build the case." I listened, seething with anger. It was crystal clear she was manipulating the situation for personal gain. It hit me hard, especially considering my own painful divorce. "And after that, we'll be together?" Terry asked. "Yes, but I need to wait a little. I have to be officially married on my 25th birthday to receive the inheritance. It's worth $360,000. Once I get it, I'll move the money into a separate account and file for divorce. What if he finds out about us? I've got everything under control. I installed a special app on his phone so I know where he is and what he's saying. If there's any suspicion, we'll just pause the meetups. And the cameras," he nodded toward one of them. "I disabled remote access and replaced the archive. He won't notice a thing." The conversation ended. Terry left soon after, and Sasha deleted the recordings and swapped them out for earlier ones. I was left facing a tough decision. Warning Sam meant exposing myself and potentially destroying all the evidence. Sending him the recordings would reveal the extent of my involvement. I wanted the truth to come out, but not at the cost of ruining Sam's chances at a fair outcome. For the next few days, I weighed my options. What made things even trickier was that I didn't know exactly what substances would be used or how the whole plan would play out. One thing was clear: I had to do something. Sam and Sasha arrived at the awards ceremony looking like the perfect couple. I was there too, invited as a corporate sponsor. With me was Barry, my reliable right-hand man. We'd rented a room ahead of time, right across from the one Sasha's friend had reserved. Barry had set up hidden cameras to record everything that happened. We returned to our room and checked the feed. Everything was working. I went back to the event while Barry stayed behind to monitor things. Everything had to be ready by the time Sasha tried to execute her plan. Sasha stayed for the ceremony, clapping like a supportive wife as Sam's team received their award. Then, just as planned, she excused herself and headed home in a cab. Ruby jumped into action right away, bringing out 2 mugs of beer and a little whiskey. About an hour and a half later, I saw her slip something into Sam's next drink. He was already pretty drunk, and whatever she added kicked in fast. Within half an hour, Nate and I barely managed to get Sam to the room. Ruby led the way, and I caught myself staring at her. Even though I didn't trust her, I couldn't deny she made an impression. We took off Sam's tux and laid him on the bed. Ruby said she'd stay for a bit to make sure he didn't feel worse. Nate and I headed back to the party, but I said I was going home. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, we split up, and I doubled back to our room. There, sitting at the desk, was a man in a police uniform reviewing the surveillance footage. Well, he said. "What have we got here?" I laughed, and after a moment I managed to say, "Very." I exhaled. "When you said the uniform was legit, I didn't think it'd look this real." "It's almost real," he replied, "except for a few details. But when I wear it at events, things get lively real fast." "Don't keep the ladies waiting," I joked. Barry moonlighted as an entertainer at parties, and that's how he ended up here in the cop costume. "Usually they're rushing to get on stage," he added. "Spare me the details," I said with a laugh, and we sat down to keep watching the feed, waiting for whatever would happen next. "She's been texting a bit," Barry noted, "but no calls yet." "Makes sense," I replied. "If she called, Sam might overhear something and get suspicious." For the next 40 minutes, nothing happened. Sam was lying on the bed, and Ruby was glued to her phone. Then someone knocked on Ruby's door. She opened it. A young woman stepped in, looking a little unsure of herself. "50 extra," she said uncertainly. "Not for me," Ruby answered. "For him." She nodded towards Sam. Got it, the girl said, clearly disappointed. But I can pay extra if you let me record a video, Ruby continued. Money first, the girl said. Ruby handed her the agreed amount. If he doesn't wake up, there's no refund, the girl warned. Agreed, Ruby replied. The most important thing is that it looks convincing. The girl approached Sam and checked his condition. Then they staged a few shots. It all looked as if he were actively involved, even though he was completely unconscious. Ruby carefully monitored the camera angles, making sure everything looked right. After a few minutes, she stopped the process. I think that's enough, she said. Sasha will get what she needs. The girl got dressed and left without saying another word. Ruby looked around the room and, smirking, muttered, You have no idea what this night is going to cost you. But it's going to be one of the most expensive nights of your life. Smiling, she tidied everything up and left. I waited 10 minutes, then went in and collected the cameras. Sam had slept through everything. Back in our room, I handed Barry the promised payment. We left, returned the access cards, and each went our separate way. For the next 2 Thursdays, I kept an eye on Sasha. She looked confident, convinced she had everything under control. Eventually, I packed up the materials and sent them by mail. My part was done. Part 2. As told by Adrian Leclerc. I've handled plenty of divorces. It comes with the territory when you're a divorce attorney. This case felt all too familiar. Sam Fitzgerald came to me on the recommendation of a colleague. His wife, Sasha, had decided to file for divorce. Sam was stunned. He thought things were fine between them. He came to me lost, still in love, and willing to make concessions. Then her lawyer requested a meeting to review the terms of their prenup. They wanted to reach a settlement before taking it to court. That raised red flags for Sam, and when he showed me the document, I was confused as well. Sam assured me he'd been faithful to his wife, and that the prenup would only matter in the case of infidelity. She clearly had no intention of confessing anything, so we could only hope she'd stick to her version. All we could do was wait and see what her legal team presented. Then everything changed when a package arrived. It was addressed to me, referencing Sam Fitzgerald, and marked confidential. The accompanying letter said that Sam's wife had been eavesdropping on his phone calls and knew everything we discussed. So I decided to hold on to the contents and use them if necessary. What I found inside stunned me, and every step I took to verify the material confirmed its authenticity. I believed every second of it. Sam and I attended the meeting with Sasha and Miles Boone in the conference room at Boone & Fresh, a well-respected firm. If what I suspected was true, Miles was going to be extremely uncomfortable. Sam sat at the table, looking bewildered and silent. Sasha avoided his gaze and kept her emotions carefully masked. What's your claim? I asked after a brief introduction. Your client had an intimate encounter with another woman, Miles said. No, Sam whispered. Proof? I asked. Miles nodded, opened his laptop, and connected it to a large screen. A video played. Sam appeared unconscious while compromising actions unfolded around him. Sam stared at the screen in shock, speechless. Edited, I said once it ended. There's no evidence of any actual actions you're trying to allege. Will the judge believe what he sees, or what he doesn't see? Miles said with a smirk. I smiled, nodded, and asked for the laptop. I connected it to my device and played the same scene from different angles. This time it was clear Sam was in his underwear and completely unconscious. At the end of the footage, the woman on camera said, That's enough. I'm sure Sasha will get what she wants. Sasha's face went pale. The shock was unmistakable. This is deception, I said. Is this real? Miles asked, nervously. If this is fake, then so is yours. Is this even legal? Absolutely. Excuse us, Miles said, and left the room with Sasha. They returned a few minutes later. We're withdrawing the claim, Miles said. Sasha didn't lift her eyes. Shall we move on to the division of assets? He offered. I shook my head and played the next video. This is private. Sasha yelled when she saw herself with another man. You must have obtained this illegally. Betrayal, Sam said a bit louder, his shoulders straightening. Where did this come from? Miles asked. Only Sam signed the contract to install cameras in the house, and we have proof Sasha knew about them. Excuse us again, Miles said, and left the room with Sasha once more. Where did you? Sam began, but I stopped him. Later, I said, gesturing toward his phone, hinting that it might still be tapped. Sam let out a heavy breath and sat down silently, trying to process everything. A scream from Sasha echoed from the other room. Thank you, Sam said, and I nodded. It's not over yet. They came back in. My client agrees to 20%, Provided the footage is not used in court, Miles said. I looked at Sam. He glanced at Sasha, who lowered her eyes. No deals, he said firmly. As of today, she's moving out. I'll have her things sent to the address she gives. I smiled. At last, Sam was showing resolve. I nodded to Miles. Agreed. Miles handed me a list of shared assets. Do you agree with this list? He asked hopefully. Where's the inheritance she received after turning 25? Sasha let out a cry, jumped to her feet, and stormed out. Miles stood as if to follow her, but turned back to me. The inheritance, as I understand, isn't subject to division? Correct. And is the house on the list? Yes. I inherited it from my grandmother, Sam said. I crossed the house off the list. I didn't know, Miles sighed. I know, I replied. He left to find Sasha, and Sam and I returned to my office. Sam turned off his phone and left it in the next room. How did you get all of that? He asked, astonished. I simply smiled and handed him the letter from the package. It read, Dear Sam, you don't know me, and I don't know you. I stumbled across your wife's devious plans and couldn't let it happen because I've been through something like this myself. I couldn't warn you directly since your phone is being monitored. Any suspicion and she would have changed tactics. I managed to gather the evidence and sent it to your attorney. I hope it helped. I did incur some expenses, but I'm glad I did the right thing. All I ask is, pay it forward. If one day you find out someone else might fall victim to betrayal, don't look away. Your unknown brother, who still cares. Sam set the letter down and looked at me with quiet determination. I'll be okay, he said. The end.